Yeah, ma'am, I'll start it now.
Yeah. Good evening, participants. Welcome to the live webinar on nursing in the digital era. We are expecting some more participants to join us. So in few minutes, we'll start the webinar. Thank you. Piyush sir, we are ready to start.
Okay, sure. So now, hello and a very warm welcome to all the participants. I thank you all for joining this webinar on nursing in the digital era, what it takes to be the next gen nurse. Digital technologies are something unavoidable in today's life. They have taken place in our personal as well as our professional lives. However, with the onset of COVID-19, its uptake in the business have grown multifold, and healthcare industry is no exception. The way healthcare players have adopted to digitalization is really commendable, but there's a long way to go because to manage this, we need skilled workforce who understands technology. In this scenario, upskilling the nursing personnel has become a paramount importance, nursing being a very, very critical component of healthcare delivery system. Going forward, a successful nursing career would not just be defined by the educational degrees which you possess, but also with the ability to integrate and understand the technology and its implication into healthcare practices to achieve better patient outcome and to lead in the future digital healthcare setups. So let's understand that what it takes to be the next gen nurse. A very warm welcome to everyone once again. Before we start the webinar, let me just run you through a brief introduction about the institution and about our respected speakers. IHMR was started in 2004 and it's a specialized institute in management research, postgraduate education and training in the healthcare sector. We have presence across multiple dimensions of healthcare, touching base with various industries like research, consulting, academics, and trainings. We offer 2 years full-time PGDM program in 4 specializations: hospital management, healthcare IT, and pharmaceutical management. We provide holistic and contemporary healthcare management education to our students, and to do so, we collaborate with national and global renowned international institutes. So we are NABH accredited. We are accredited with NBA. Coming to Cloud Physician, our co-partner for this webinar. Cloud Physician Private Limited is a technology-driven company which aims to democratize quality healthcare to small and medium-sized hospitals ICU in India. So they actually bring a blend of modern technology with quality healthcare, which helps in increasing the number of ICU beds that an intensivist can reach, thereby improving the efficiency and affordability of care. With their smart ICU solution, an intensivist can reach the patient remotely, in time and cost-effective manner. That's an amazing solution and something need of this hour. The solution which they have with a 360-degree view of patients and analysis of structured patient data, clinicians can deliver protocolized care to the remote ICUs and improve patient outcomes in very short period of time. This is something need of the hour and the skills which we need to acquire today. So on the same lines, IHMR Jaipur, IHMR Bangalore, and Cloud Physician Private Limited has come up with a course, a certificate course on digital intensive care management. This course is like a 6 months course, which will be all the live online sessions. We basically aim to train the nursing professionals and the doctors on the remote intensive care monitoring, about the nuances of healthcare 4.0, and to enable them to accelerate their career and meet the needs of the future digitalized hospital. For this course, the certification will be awarded by IHMR University, and the classes will be conducted by IHMR Bangalore and Cloud Physician. Now, coming to our speaker's profile, I welcome Dr. Usha Manjunath, Professor and Director, IHMR Bangalore. Dr. Manjunath has experience of more than 20 years as management faculty. She did her MSc in speech and hearing from Mysore. MPhil and PhD in quality management from BITS Pilani. She has interest in behavioral science, focus in management and entrepreneurship. She is also a guest faculty and subject matter expert for many institutions and universities in India and abroad. And she's frequently being invited as an expert panel member in the healthcare fraternity. She has also authored a book called Total Quality Services in Healthcare in 2012. And Dr. Usha Manjunath has also been awarded as Bharat Ratna Indira Gandhi Gold Medal Award for Excellence by GEPRA in 2018. Welcome, ma'am, once again. Our next speaker, Dr. C.S. Kedar. Welcome, sir. With an experience of 34 years, Dr. Kedar retired as an additional chief secretary, and in this capacity, he handled the biggest IT project, Khazana, completely digitizing the financial transaction of government. He acted as joint secretary at Cabinet's Secretariat Rashtrapati Bhavan and handled specific issues at the highest level, leading part in revamping CGHS. And as Director General ESI, he handled health insurance and health services provision of 62 million Indians. He also started graduate and postgraduate medical courses and institutions across 12 locations and has set up 8 modern hospitals. Dr. Shastri has also served as a bureau member of International Society of Security Association, and he also served as a mentor for India for IAS Academy, where he guides candidates who are aspiring to join civil services. Welcome, Dr. Kedar. Our next speaker, Dr. Dhruv Joshi. Dr. Dhruv Joshi is co-founder of Cloud Physician. Welcome, Dr. Dhruv Joshi. He is also a pulmonary and critical care specialist who graduated from St. John's Medical College, Bangalore, and he further got trained at the Cleveland Clinic Foundation and Good Samaritan Hospital in USA. Dr. Dhruv, during his residency and fellowship, he was involved in numerous projects which focuses on quality improvement of healthcare delivery, improvement of patient outcomes, and optimizing resource utilization. His clinical focus is on advanced respiratory failures, mechanical ventilation, and pulmonary hypertension. Welcome, Dr. Dhruv, once again. Our next speaker is Dr. Shashi. Dr. Shashi is an intensivist with over 18 years of experience, and he graduated from Government Medical College, Bellary. Then after he pursued his fellowship in anesthesia from Fellow of College of Anesthesia, followed by a super specialty in critical care from Fellow of College of Intensive Care Medicine, Australia. Dr. Shashi is also a Master's in Healthcare Administration from Curtin University in Western Australia, and he has worked for more than 13 years in UK and Australia. Thereafter, he decided to return to India, and since then, he is actually serving as the Clinical Advisory Board as an acute rehabilitation physician at Bionic Yantra, a medical robotics company developing an exoskeleton for stroke rehabilitation. And he also served as a Director of Clinical Education and Intensivist at Cloud Physician. Welcome, Dr. Shashi, once again. Our next speaker is Dr. Dilip Raman. Dr. Dilip Raman is also a co-founder of Cloud Physician. He is a pulmonologist, a critical care medicine specialist, and sleep medicine specialist. Graduated from Medical College, Thrissur with a distinguished gold medal in internal medicine from academic excellence. He further got trained at the Cleveland Foundation and Texas Tech University. Dr. Dilip is interested in training and has numerous teaching awards for resident and fellow education, including the Cleveland Foundation Teaching Excellence Award. His academic and clinical interests center around mechanical ventilation nomenclature, neuromuscular respiratory disease, and heart-lung interactions in sleep. Welcome, Dr. Dilip Raman. So I'll stop my presentation and get on the main task now. So welcome everyone once again. My first question goes to Dr. Usha Manjunath. Ma'am, you there?
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome, ma'am. Ma'am, you have been into management education for over 20 years now. And management education in healthcare has proven its worth for over the past 2 and 3 decades by providing leadership and direction to the industry. So as per you, what is the influence of management education in nursing profession? How does nursing professional gets a direction and a better role in organizing the with the management education?
Okay. Any profession that we are in now and working, the resources are not, unlimited. Always the resources are going to be quite limited. And for nursing, working in various teams, trying to upgrade their own clinical skills, working in various organizations, it really helps them to kind of develop themselves individually as well as professionally in terms of their career growth that they are looking for. It's a very helpful area that every nursing person should be really looking at. So what I will do is next 5 minutes, I will just quickly run about what is management all about and how in the technology era they could probably really look at upgrading their own career. So let me now share my screen and do a very quick presentation. Welcome to all the participants. Much more than that, salute to all the COVID warriors. We have, Dr. Dhruv Joshi, Dr. Dilip, Dr. Shashi, all of them in the front line, doing a lot in the management of COVID. And as we really see, we saw that even during COVID, our resources were so much limited, and India being a resource low country, we have had a lot of challenges in the managing the second surge. So obviously, in terms of really looking at management, I think we need to look at two very important part here. One is training of people. The other one is the technology enhancements. Technology enhancements are going to be the way to really look at kind of overcoming our problems with the resources, that is the manpower. But that means that there are different skill sets that need to be really trained. So that's how this whole program on integrated technology enhanced ICU management has been created. And we are very lucky to be associated with already a very successful company who are doing across India and abroad on this particular one. So let's move ahead on and just to kind of understand what management is all about and how nursing professions can really get a little bit of the glimpse that they would be doing if they join this course, as well as what they can adopt themselves on an everyday basis, some of the principles of management very quickly. So welcome to this class again. Obviously, in the medical field, I think we've all fall back upon cure sometimes, treat often, and comfort always. The Hippocrates statement. And this is very important. And if we really look at the nursing professionals, whether it is the managing of the hospital or the departments or the ICU, a lot of that goes into the nursing professionals. So therefore, they are involved at all levels of cure, treatment, and comforting. So they are, involved in so much more that, they probably have to really, be very smart on their 2 feet and really doing it. It is a wonderful job, wonderful contribution that the nursing profession does to the healthcare across the world. So no, program on nursing could probably not talk about Florence Nightingale. As I was discovering and learning about quality management, this was one of the things that we really looked way back, reducing, infection control measures and, saving lives. The nutrition, sanitation, infection control initiatives in war hospitals was really very helpful. So it was very well established that good care and good outcomes are obviously very strongly related. And so just moving ahead from taking a piece, the nursing profession, the first and the foremost is about the patient care. And every nurse would be looking at the professional growth because the knowledge is constantly increasing. There is technology coming in. There are new techniques, tools, and to really take care of patients in their professional manner. There's so much more that every one of us have to be constantly learning. And nursing profession is much more because the knowledge, medical and nursing knowledge, is very fast increasing. And of course, it is a very involved job, and there also has to be a lot of personal satisfaction and the work-life balance that they need to require. So at the personal level, at the professional level, or at the patient care level, management is very critical to what they do and how they serve the society. Just a quick understanding, if we want to look at the hospital, obviously there is 4 or 5 very important components we usually look at in management. If we understand this and then know how to really work within a hospital, I think it really improves a lot of things that we do. The purpose obviously is ensuring that the patients and the people who are part of the hospital are healthy. So the purpose is about goals, is about the treatment and making people healthy and saving lives. And obviously there are people involved. So different sets of people, professionals, all from highly trained, highly educated doctors, specialists, super specialists, to nursing specialists and technicians. There are a whole range of people and then as well as from the administration side and so on. The hospital would also have a proper structure where reporting, communication, how things are done. It could be structured within the departments, it could be across. So there is a medical part of the structure. There is also an administrative or a management part of the structure, which are really working towards in a very integrated manner to achieve those goals. Technology is now become a major change. If we have really looked at the medical technology itself is not new to doctors, but in the last 20, 30 years, the technology from IT, the computer, the internet, the cloud, so much more has changed that the way it is done in a hospital is constantly evolving and changing. The digitization of the hospital is really becoming a reality, even for all the hospitals, bigger, smaller, in some fashion, even in India. But how do we really put all this together, the culture and the shared values? So we all have to believe in saving lives. We have to believe in the culture of care, a culture of timeliness, prompt care. So there are a set of shared values that keeps all the people in a kind of bonding, so that we all perform and kind of really achieve the purpose and the goals of saving lives and ensuring that people are healthy in a much better fashion. So moving ahead, very simple. Management involves coordinating and getting the work done in an efficient manner. But all about management is about resources, whether it is the resources of knowledge, skills, information. Say, for example, in a hospital, information is the key. Whether you're telling the patient how they should take care of themselves, or when somebody is giving treatment and passing on that information, or how the information flows within the hospital through the HMIS. All this is very, very critical. How do we really manage? Because the information, the number of bytes, the number of data that we collect is so extensively high. It should be reaching the correct people. It should be reaching the correct patient in a manner that they understand and so on. So the resources have to be really managed very well. People, of course, everywhere across in behavioral sciences, we say the most unpredictable thing in life is all about people and maybe weather, right? So people are the most important ones to really understand, because all of you, nurses, doctors, and clinicians, and so many people in the hospital also work under a lot of different kinds of pressure. They're always dealing with a lot of, pain, a lot of, life and death. So it is stressing. It is also very different in terms of how we work in any other organization. Though the management principles are very similar, the kind of emotional labor, emotional input that goes into it is very high. And of course, the other resources of time, funds, technology, equipment, medicines, consumables, all of this is not going to be unlimited. So within that, how do we really optimize? How do we really go about? So one is the resource usage. So it is about, efficiencies and goal attainment. So if I'm really talking about, we have whatever we have within that particular department, we need to ensure that, patients are, really being able to receive the right amount of treatment and right amount of time that you give to them and so on. So this is the first principle of management as we really look at. Management always strives for, low resource waste and high goal attainment. Tough job, but I'm sure all of you have been doing, in such a resource crunch situation of COVID too. But then, can we learn from that and really arrive at certain principles, certain algorithms, maybe certain ways to do much better over a period of time? And that's how management really codifies this knowledge and takes it further. So the functions, I say this is the management mantra: planning, organizing, leading, and control. So obviously, if you're working, let us say, in an ICU or in a hospital or any department, there would be goals, objectives, targets, strategies, and plans and resources. So you would be, if you're managing an ICU, you would be looking at, who is going to work, what is the, how many beds you have, how do you strategize, when do you really look at, so you would have a lot of planning done, algorithms, when do you discharge, when do you do this, when do you say the patient has recovered, when the patient is stabilized. So there is a clinical part of it, there is a management part of it, and these two can be really enhanced through technology much better, whether it can be live and physical, but you could also utilize a lot of helpful things for remote monitoring too. Then organizing, your own human resources, the structure, how do you put, who's going to report to whom, how is the team organized, who takes over, what is the handover, and so on and so forth. Then there is a leading part where all of us work in teams. There would be obviously a boss and a team working under and so on. So leading, people and really achieving the goals. So there is an individual group work, work behaviors and so on. And finally, of course, is really looking at what do we really achieve out of this and how do we manage the outcomes much better. So the control, setting standards and achieving what is that we want to achieve. So management has these basic principles, and this management, I'm sure whether it is at your own home, whether your own department, all of us do this, but being more conscious, being more aware and getting tools and techniques to do this in a very objective manner would all help us to become much better professionals. I could be a teacher, I could apply the same thing, when I do a classroom management too. So same principles are applied over and over again, and all of us can really achieve the results much better, reduce errors, reduce, kind of a lot of adverse events that may happen. And if we are really focused on this and take simple steps, simple algorithms that we want to use, this would be the key to really improve our own professional work. Of course, communication is primary to all functions. And so team, obviously, doctors, technicians, and a very diverse team would be there. The focus, of course, is always on the patient outcome, quality, and satisfaction. So, if we kind of see what our goals are, plan accordingly, and organize the people, our resources, and really look at how do we motivate teams and really have the right people, and always look at standards and quality, I think we should be able to really do a good job. I just want to take 1 minute to kind of look at the clinical system that we all work in the hospital. So the patient is at the core, so there may be disease differences, comorbidities, so on and so forth. So as a nurse, you will have a lot of things that you will be directly interacting with the patient. And as a part of care team, again, as frontline care providers. And then, you would have certain protocols, standards, how to treat, how to really take care of a patient, and so on and so forth. And so much more in ICU. So this program, when we really do it, we do a lot of skill building on to really be a very good, care provider, as a part of the care team. And that would really help, in terms of enhancing the skills. So skill building is one of the most important part of management, constantly looking at upskilling and so on. Then, of course, the organization would have resources that, maybe the technology. So you constantly have to be understanding new things that are happening, new policies maybe that are coming up. And of course, as a part of your profession, you would be, in the environment associated with your own nursing association and various kinds of groups for learning. You would be maybe signing up for universities to learn further. So the environment, regulatory to, how nursing work is done. So all this is a part of the clinical system where at every level, if we understand the nuances of management, I think we will be able to, improve our own ability to function as well as manage our own personal growth and satisfaction. Competencies, obviously, we always in management talk about, head and heart and hands. So in terms of the knowledge, skills, analysis, how do you really think? How do you really make decisions? And of course, being resilient yourself, commitment, and also being very affectionate and caring for the patients. Then, of course, the skills of, how you do, maybe nowadays, all of you, I'm sure, already doing EMR, EHR, a lot of the things are done by the nurses themselves. There is going to be much more now. Maybe you're going to have AI, you're going to have different kinds of remote monitoring, you're going to do all the management within your own mobile phones. So all these are, skills which are required, different levels of skill. So there are clinical skills, there would be management type of skills, there would also be technology-based skills. So all this is what going to really make you a better professional. And of course, you're very familiar, the ICU part of the management that you see on the left. Look at the number of gadgets, look at the ones that are there. And how is the ICU management going to look like is on the right side. So ICU management and all this, even a hospital management, technology is a game changer. And therefore, we adopt, we kind of embrace and move ahead is the way to really go. And for all youngsters sitting here, I'm sure technology is as exciting as anything that you do in your own profession. And this is where I think this course with technology, management, and ICU clinical skills would really be a very important one for those of you who are going to look at your career growth and as ICU or even in general that you want to work in a hospital. So thank you. And so that is briefly about how management is going to be, very, very important for, various nursing professionals. Thank you all. Over to you, back to you, Piyush.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thanks for sharing these beautiful insights, ma'am. It's really interesting to know the way you have put it forward. The last slide specifically, that what difference does management makes into ICU and intensive or nursing care profession. I mean, how important these management principles can actually improve the efficiency and help us to do our work much more better in a clinical setup. Thank you, ma'am. I request all the participants to please keep on sharing any questions if you have. So we will pick up the questions within the sessions itself. Please feel free to share the questions, any queries you have over here. Now, Dr. Kedar, my next question goes to you, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, please. Please.
Yeah. Sir, as ma'am has told about management perspective into the education, for nursing education, how important it is. And since the onset of COVID-19, there has been a sea change in the way healthcare organizations work and deliver. This has also made the nursing profession more demanding in some perspective because we have more of digital aspects coming in. The kind of responsibilities have changed. The kind of expectations have also changed. So in this scenario, sir, does this call for any new kind of skill set to be inculcated among the nurses to stay organized at the hectic workplaces? And if yes, then how do we ensure the readiness in these tough times, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Piyush. Let me share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. What you saw in the video is actually a force multiplier. There's only one nurse. The rest of all the staff, whatever you see in the uniform, they are all 10th fail or 10th pass who have been just trained to assist the nurses. So the effectiveness of the nurse has been enhanced maybe 10x time. Okay. My passion being, of course, I have deliberately put nursing and cancelled it because I am not a technical person to speak on nursing, but I'm competent to speak on nurses because of my passion into public health policy. A country like India can afford to deliver health services to the remote areas. Why remote? Even in non-remote, all our geography, if we can think of nurses in a different way, then what are we talking today? How do we make a nurse a force multiplier in delivering health services tomorrow and the day after? Of course, tomorrow has already come partly. Okay, if you talk of today, the way for maybe today hospital or when I was Director General ESI, we were looking at nurses mostly in the IPD. They never used to be outside available to us. They were handling the nursing station, and the cutting edge to the externalities was only doctors and specialists. And nurses were interacting at the most with the inpatients and the attendants. So today, the skills needed are communication with the patients, recognizing the moment when you want somebody else to come, maybe doctors to run around or specialists to run around, they are already available in the hospital, and working as a team member, because nursing station, at least you have 2 or 3 people. So you must know how to interact with people, ensure that in the team you don't have a problem. So that is a minimum skill that you may have to have, right? Now, if you go to tomorrow, probably if you go to Dr. Dilip's office, you will see the whole thing. In fact, the way I am seeing the delivery of the health services will be, each of our big hospitals, which are in the metros or the big cities, when they expand, they are not going to create or recreate the whole hospital setup in maybe town 2, town 3. On the other hand, it will be a hub and the spoke model. A lot of our heavy bell like specialists are going to be continued in the metros, but these facilities are going to be created at the tier 2, tier 3 cities with minimum doctors and nurses. So in that case, you rely upon the resources available in the hub, right? All the specialists available in the hub, and the doctors with a team of nurses are going to handle a spoke where the patients are going to be taken. In this mode, the nurses are still going to be part of the nursing station. Today, probably when either Dilip or Dr. Shashi are going to speak, they'll explain how hub and spoke is working for ICU. But it's going to come out of the ICU, the concept itself, and it will go to the wards. Nurses are still going to be limited to the nursing stations. The last mile connectivity will be only the local doctor available. Specialists are not there physically. They are actually virtually present in the hub. Still, nurses are going to interact only with the inpatients, but there will be a small change in the technical skills that will be needed tomorrow. One is technical skills. That's what in the coming course that we are going to be, we need some technical skills to be embedded into the nurses, because they have to learn to operate with one virtual team which is going to sit in the hub. So they have to communicate with the patients, but they also have to virtually communicate with specialists in the hub. So there is a little bit of two different types of communication. One is face-to-face, another is through technology. Then again, still the recognizing the dire straits of a patient are today needed. Maybe very soon with Dr. Dilip, maybe even that also can become little more automized. And you should learn to work as a member of both physical team at this spoke and also as a virtual team member at the hub. So you will be member of two groups with two different cultures, but still working. You will take a part leadership today for tomorrow, because when you have one or two at the most doctors, when they are not there in the remote area, that is tier 2, tier 3. I'm sorry, not even remote. I'm talking of towns, tier 2, tier 3. When doctors are not there, you should have some part leadership. Try to deal little bit with the externalities. Those are the skills needed tomorrow when you start working with hub and spoke model. In fact, I have gone one step ahead. When you go to day after tomorrow, I am looking at the spokes that are going to be available at tier 2, tier 3 cities. They will have branches, maybe in Hubli headquarters or smaller, bigger villages, where there will be a sub-spokes attached to a spoke, and that spoke is attached to a hub. That is how we are going to deliver services. These sub-spokes will be managed only by the nurses. So they will handle such cases where the nurses alone are enough to take care. They will have to develop the connectivity to patients, the family, and externalities. So the skills needed day after tomorrow, and I feel that this is the only way in which we are going to have a force multiplier in the health system, so that even in Hubli headquarters, bigger villages, we will have a small hospitals managed by nurses. You don't call it hospitals, but you can call it by any name, whatever you want, outreach, whatever. Skills needed there are very high-tech skills, communication and coordination with doctors, specialists, doctors in spoke, specialists in hub, because the doctors are now sitting in the spoke. They are not with you physically. So you learn to coordinate with them. Then recognizing very quickly the patient's need to be shifted out. He's feeling uncomforted. How do you react? Then you are now a leader. Everything, all leader, the buck stops at you in the sub-spoke model. Then what are all the leadership qualities that you have to acquire? Comforting qualities, whatever Usha was speaking. Now you are a leader taking care of all the three: head, heart, hand, and comforting and curative. All of that you are to, and you are constantly in touch with your technical skills. So this is the ultimate nurses who are going to deliver the health services to the remote areas. Of course, we have forgotten one type of nurse who are going to sit in, for example, our cloud physician headquarters in the Macri Circle. When you enter there, you see, it looks more like a BPO, a top class BPO, delivering services globally. And the nurses who are sitting there, unless they declare that they are nurses, you will take them granted as tech people. So here in the hub, the last mile connect is the nurses. So they don't speak directly to the patient. They don't handle any patients. They are connecting to spokes and they deal with the spokes. Maybe tomorrow they may have to even coordinate with the sub spokes. And the skills needed are highly technical skills. They have to be very, very tech savvy, very comfortable working with the techs. Then communication with doctors and nurses in the spoke, she will be able to give the confidence to the doctors and nurses sitting in the spoke because they are dependent on the hub, and they should also coordinate with specialists in the hub and recognizing the moment when to escalate. Even in our cloud headquarters, there's an escalation mechanism, and these people who are monitoring, in fact, you will be seeing that each of the tech nurses handle about 30 patients. Their monitors sitting in front of them, they are watching. They know how to, when and how to escalate to specialists who are sitting around. And the greatest thing that here you have to learn is how do you work as a team. Team face-to-face who are sitting with you. And secondly, the team which is virtual sitting on the spoke. And maybe in the coming days, thanks to Dilip and his team, we may have a sub-spoke model also, where nurses are going to handle. So this is what I feel the nurses are going to be today, tomorrow, day after. And I feel that they are going to become the anchor around which we are going to take some of the non-critical, non-interventionist treatments out straight into the villages so that resource poor people have not to travel to faraway places. They go to a nearest big village or nearest Hubli headquarters. Thank you. This is what I wanted to share from my side. I think I forgot to thank all of you in the... So this is what I wanted to share. Piyush, these are the skills that probably we may have to look forward to in the coming days.
Thank you, sir.
They are going to be different.
Yes, that's really interesting insight, sir, about the way you described how the hub and spoke model will be taken care of and where nurses would be playing a very, very important role. So, I mean, the way you explained how technology, other than the communication and leadership skills, the technical skills would also play a very, very major role in delivering the healthcare, and nurses would be playing a prominent role. Maybe just the setup you described, kind of a BPO center where you don't feel like a nurse is sitting over there, and you will feel like more of a call center employee sitting in air-conditioned offices and then still monitoring the patients. That's really interesting, sir. On the similar lines, my next question goes to Dr. Dhruv. Dr. Dhruv, you there?
Yes, Piyush, please. Yes, Piyush, please go ahead.
Yeah. Dr. Dhruv, so you are a doctor who is quite familiar with technology. And in today's scenario, if we see technology and healthcare delivery goes hand in hand. We have a lot of connected devices. We have EMRs, we have connected digital infusion pumps and mobile devices to take care. Now, in this scenario, what do you think that what kind of technical or what new age skills are required by the nurses so that they remain at the forefront of the medical innovation, so that they don't fade out their professional capabilities very soon? What do you think is the need of this hour for them?
Thanks, Piyush. Thanks for that question, and a very interesting one that we deal with every day on a day-to-day basis. Firstly, I'd like to start by stating that the backbone of any healthcare delivery system is the nursing force, right? They form the backbone of any healthcare delivery system, wherever it may be, primary, secondary, or tertiary. Now, what we have been seeing in the last few years, and what we are going to see much quicker and much more accelerated in the coming years, is this healthcare delivery mechanism that we have quickly getting digitized and quickly adopting technology. But now, when you make this change, from what our traditional system of healthcare delivery has been to a newer form, a technology-enabled healthcare delivery system. And when I say technology-enabled, it could be like Dr. Kedar just pointed out, where you have telemedicine, where you have remote nurses taking helping and supporting nurses in other places, or it could be even in the bedside, where you have, like you mentioned, increased adoption of electronic medical records. You have more HISs, you have pharmacy management systems that are going online, uh, remotely consulting with doctors, even though you are providing bedside care to the patients. Very often the doctors may not be there, and you may be communicating with them either via phone app, or either however you may be on the computer, in using digital mediums. We are going to see this happening more and more. And as this happens, it is really important for us to provide the skills, to provide the training, to provide the change management for nurses to make this switch, right? Because in our traditional training modules, whether you go to a nursing school, or whether you go to a medical school, or you do your MBBS, or you do your GNM or BSc nursing, whatever you may do, you will not, the courses and the curriculum that you have do not address these skills, right? Do not address the real world skills that you will require when you're actually taking care of a patient, when you're actually using an EMR, when you're actually doing teleconsultations with a remote provider, or you yourself are providing teleconsultations to a patient, right? So these are not typically the skills that are taught at the time of your basic training, but are very important skills, because this is what we're going to need, right? At the end of the day, if you are working in any hospital today, even forget about a tier 2 or tier 3 city, if you're working in any corporate hospital today in any metro city, I can assure you that that corporate hospital is already using some form of an HIS or EMR, or is very soon going to be using it, right? They are soon in the process of adopting it. They are probably talking to different EMR companies and choosing it. And so once that decision is made, then it is the nurses that are going to have to use it on the day-to-day basis. So can we, skill our nurses and provide them with the tools that they need to optimally utilize this, and to become leaders in this new form of healthcare delivery, which is going to use a lot of technology, right? So that is I think the basis for us even devising this course was to provide our nurses with the tools that they need to be high functioning providers of healthcare in today, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow as well, right? And so for that, it will require familiarity with the technology, but outside of that, it will also require, a change management. How do you now deal with a different sort of healthcare delivery, right? I mean, you may be doing teleconsultations, you may be talking to doctors differently than having them at the bedside. So there are many aspects to this that are going to come into play, that I believe that we can help the nurses with, we can help skill them with these aspects. And definitely from a management standpoint, Dr. Usha already mentioned, as we move, as we grow in our careers, we want to develop leaders, and many aspects come into that, whether it is communication, whether it is soft skill management, whether it is a holistic view of healthcare delivery, which includes, ethics, which includes the legal aspects, which includes technology. All of these skills are going to be very, very important for any aspiring leaders in the nursing healthcare sphere. So I'll end with that.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Dhruv. I think, can we say that something somewhere, this is like something inevitable. I mean, which if we don't adapt to, then we somewhere lose in the future. Because
Absolutely.
yeah,
I would completely agree with you. This is inevitable, and yeah, and our focus should be to develop leaders in the nursing sphere, and we should not be left behind, because this change is going to come. It is already coming, and it is important that we provide the necessary skills for our nursing students to be able to make this, to adopt this, and not only to adopt this, but to flourish in this new system.
and somewhere I think because of COVID, these things have come so fast, and now their momentum is tremendous actually. So the sooner, the better, I think, and that's how we need to move.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with that.
Thanks, Dr. Dhruv. Thanks a lot. Now, my next question goes to Dr. Shashi. Dr. Shashi, you there? Yeah. So, Dr. Shashi, you are actually, you take care of both the words. I would say you are a master's in healthcare administration as well. So, you understand the management aspects. You are an intensivist and who is working in a remote care intensivist setup. So my question from you is that how do you think remote care education can be helpful in today's nursing context? Based on your experience, how these skills can be acquired and what is the future for these skills?
First of all, I'd like to thank IHMR to bringing up this webinar because it's a very interesting topic to actually discuss about present and the future. And a good, very much heartfelt thanks to all the COVID warriors across the world actually who are doing a great job. With regard to your question, look, how I look at it is, see, we have well understood that there's not even an iota of doubt with the fact that there is an ever increasing need for all of us to acquire and maintain new skills. And it's not only like in the past, we have new skills in our own specialities, but also we need skill sets and knowledge and ability to apply them outside our own specialities as well. So this is very well elucidated by most of the previous speakers, and I think it's a very clear thing to do. And we know that in general, we need a couple of major skills to actually acquire. One of them would be whether it is for career progression or even for not only progressing, but actually living in the career by itself. General management skills, what Dr. Usha mentioned, technology skills, which Dr. Dhruv mentioned, and how these are actually going to be utilized in the future is a very important thing. And one of the big thing is in healthcare, this becomes extremely relevant because we don't have much time in healthcare. Unlike you make a mistake, you try to correct it, you go behind a desk, sit down and make decisions about how to do it, and come back and implement these changes. This is a traditional model of how management actually occurs. But in healthcare, we really don't have time, and whether it's the nurses or the doctors, and as Dhruv mentioned, it is nurses being the backbone of this whole thing. They need their working environment to be safe, as well as at the same time the patient care has to be well balanced out with their personal life as well. So all these skills have to be acquired by some means. And and as you mentioned, COVID has actually initiated profound changes in which the education is actually whether acquired or delivered to thing. And technology is only one which has played a very invaluable role to help reach out to every nook and corner of the world to be able to enhance their knowledge. I think so. We with experience, what we can tell is there is 2 or 3 things have been done very well in terms of how educating the frontline personnel, not only in their clinical management abilities and such as hand holding them across looking after patients in a number of hospitals across the country, but also with a coordinated effort of both the teams in the hub as well as the teams in the spoke. Frontline staff have been able to get major clinical sessions, and these teaching sessions end up being quite standardized for what can be done across. So if you need to make a teaching session in a hospital, you need to set up a time, a place, a date, and physically being present there. All these difficulties have been taken away. So a number of teams who would like to listen and interact and learn as they go along can easily be done in terms of clinical teaching. The second thing we have experienced is we can easily, as we work day to day, we are able to analyze the working environment in a systematic way. The workflow, the managerial aspect in a real-time basis, mainly in a real-time basis, and quickly try to enhance the safety of the patient care delivery by providing this knowledge and the ability for their line managers, their management to actually change at in their respective hospitals, so that they don't need to think and they don't need to reanalyze the whole thing. And so this is a very good model of doing both clinical as well as doing the management aspect of health, of educational delivery from a remote location. What I can say as an intensivist is intensive care settings has always been technology filled, and as Dr. Usha showed, the patient bedside is full of machines and monitors which are always buzzing around. And COVID has shown that such technology-driven work environment is not only limited to our intensive care settings. So the new age nurses will have to have a combination of the skills, as we have well understood from previous speakers as well. The skills, the knowledge, the attitudes, the empathy, to be able to deliver safe and effective care, not only for the patients, but also for their in immediate environment. And these skills are very essential. It's becoming an essential part of our educational curriculum. And they have to encompass broader skills which define their communication abilities. They upskill as they work and able to work in that is the team working or multifunctional teams, interpersonal skills, and implement all this knowledge in a real-time basis. So that is what you can potentially do very well with various platforms of once you come to know how to do this on a technology-driven environment, this can be happened. We know that traditionally classroom-based learning and leaving the job and coming out of into a special college environment, getting it, or it can be with more and more experience as the years go by, with several years of experience and gaining these managerial skills and abilities are the way to go for, where was the usual traditional models of doing it, as well as sometimes getting out of our personal specializations, having self-interest in learning modern technologies. Only a few or the more modern generation are able to do it, were able to do it very well. But the pandemic, again, that is not a easily doable thing. And nurses or doctors or anyone who are in the front line in healthcare can get on the technology bandwagon and essentially collaborate for group learning, application based skill enhancements, or even the digital integrated courses like what IHMR has set up, and keep going forward. And with these, they're always ready, whether they are in their current job or because of the volatile and diverse environment in which healthcare is delivered. If they move on and want to become more and more senior leaders, or have to move on for various other reasons, this is a skill. These are skills which and which the frontline teams of nurses, doctors can hold on to their life and be ready anywhere in the future. So I think education with technology-based, with the help of technology is going to be the next revolution of healthcare. So it must be utilized not only for service provision, but also for upskilling yourself and educating ourselves.
Thank you, Dr. Stashi. That's amazing. I mean, to know how remote care monitoring can actually help us increase the access of care. I mean, sitting at this point of time, we actually have scarcity of critical care beds across India, and then people to monitor it. I mean, it's okay when it comes to metro cities, still the things are still easily available. But the moment we move on to tier 2, tier 3, and the villages, the story changes drastically. And if we talk about the democratization of healthcare, so I think that can only be achieved by leveraging the technology and acquiring those skills. because as of now, the entire government ecosystem, private ecosystem for the healthcare is all trying to expand the access. That is what we need to do. And somewhere that remote care monitoring, those skills are very, very vital to get these things happen. Thank you, Dr. Shashi. Now, Dr. Dilip, we have, Dr. Dilip, you there?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can hear you loud
We
and
have
clear.
spoken a lot about management skills and the technical skills, the remote care monitoring and all those things. So now from you, I would like to understand that going forward, what are the other possibilities that future hold for the nurses? I mean, with this scenario, the technology being overriding our normal work profiles, what kind of change in the roles and responsibilities of the nurses would be there? And how do we actually prepare themselves to meet this healthcare reforms?
Yeah, great questions and very challenging questions for what faces healthcare today. So see, we look at nurses as extraordinary resources in critical care. You cannot run a good ICU without a good nurse. That's a known fact. Now, some of these models we actually do not need to reinvent. We need to optimize them for the Indian setting and for the developing world. That's what we need to do when an esteemed institute like IIHMR is working with a company in tele-ICU like us. We need to bring forth the best possible solution to this problem. So what is this problem? If you imagine a triangle, the healthcare iron triangle, you have one part of the triangle is quality, the other part of the triangle is access, and the third part of the triangle is cost. So you have an iron triangle of access, quality, and cost. And this is a rigid triangle that's very hard to break, because if you try and increase the quality, the cost goes up. If you try and diffuse it and make it very accessible, it's difficult to guarantee quality at scale. So like you said, the only solution is technology, but technology is not the only overarching solution. You also need a service angle so that the technology is used efficiently. Simply having technology for the sake of technology is not a solution. So here we need to learn from other systems. And what other systems are doing very well is that they are giving nurses a career escalation pathway. And we need to do that. And that is what we are trying to do internally as well in our company, where we took ICU nurses, trained them over a period of time, and Dr. Shashi is our Director of Clinical Education. And what we are trying to develop for them is a nurse practitioner curriculum, where they become stronger and stronger in the ICU realm, where they are able to function as a bridge between senior critical care nurses and doctors. That bridge sort of a role they can actually fulfill with a great deal of proficiency, because in other models across the world, you will find them as physician extender models, nurse practitioner models, physician assistant models. And these models are actually very, very useful at scale, provided you have the right training infrastructure, provided you have the right operational bandwidth to actually plug these people in a pyramidal system where you can deliver healthcare at scale. So what we look at nurses historically is that, you join as a staff nurse, you move from one domain to another, say, a medical surgical nurse to an ICU, or from that to labor and delivery, or then to an outpatient. What we are saying, this is for nurses, this is horizontal growth. This is not attractive, actually. And what we want to change at Cloud Physician and partnering with institutes like IHMR is we need to give them not just a lateral growth strategy, but also a vertical growth where they accumulate skills and use these programs at scale. Now, the problems with the currently existing programs mandated by, say, the Nursing Council are looking at nurse practitioner programs that need 3 years to produce a nurse practitioner. And these nurse practitioners also are looking at very highly evolved places. That cannot be the only goal, because if it takes you 3 to 4 years to make a good nurse practitioner, and it takes a very heavy resource to make that nurse practitioner, then it defeats the purpose to a certain extent, because you are going to then have to wait for 20 to 25 years to actually get a good volume of these very skilled people. So you need to actually restructure that a little bit and maybe have a level 1, a level 2 nurse practitioner, where, just like our rest of the panel was mentioning, that you don't need a nurse practitioner who can handle a coronary artery bypass patient in remote areas of the country. You need someone who can prevent a death from diabetic ketoacidosis, something very simple and straightforward that requires just the right amount of training that is backed up perhaps by a tele-ICU backbone, making sure that this is an entirely legitimized pathway of telemedical care in the ICU. So we're looking at nurses who can upskill themselves in this framework, because that is the most scalable one that we can pull off in a short amount of time, solving and breaking this iron triangle that I mentioned before. So that is how I look at this problem statement.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Dilip. And I think somewhere, I mean, such kind of courses would be helping in bridging the skill gap which we have and attaining the perspective. Now, I'll pick up few of the questions quickly. So this question is for, I think, if Shashi sir can answer, is telemedicine, telemedicine can be managed by nurses, and is it legally approved? What are the medical legal aspects of it? I would request Dr. Shashi if you can answer this question.
I may not be the best person to answer this question. Look, what we are trying to look at is not getting all the legal aspects and trained into becoming a tele-nurse and doing the management themselves. Here, the model of telemedicine itself means that there is always a backup of a specialist who is whole and soul in charge of a patient at any stage. The nurse does, I mean, I don't think in the country as yet, or even in several other countries, there is an option for a completely tele-nurse led healthcare service provision. So the team is still a doctor, a nurse who work as a team. The nurse does the main nursing job, including the most important aspect of the empathy, the being together. The doctor provides the information, the prescriptions, and the implementation of these changes are always done. So in remote healthcare, there is still a hub which is looking after the patient. So the legal aspects of this, I don't think everything is written down in pen and paper. Dr. Kedar may be able to answer this, the legal and the government aspects at this point of time. But we still work as a team, from a consultant giving or a specialist giving out prescriptions and telling what exactly to be done, and the recognition of these patients' emergent sickness or the acute changes is all what is absolutely necessary by the on-ground teams, as well as the understanding of the same by the tele-nurse team, and then so that it becomes a simple, seamless way of actually working and helping the patient out. So that is the aim of any upskilling in this at this particular time.
Yeah, one legal issue that was what we tried first initially about 7 years ago in tribal areas in West Bengal. We tried to overcome this. There was not even nurses. We tried under NSDC and we trained some tribal youth in this. What we did was, along with the photograph of the person, all the things, everything done through the doctor sitting there, he will give along with the photo, along with whatever is the prescription, his medical registration number, everything is given. And that is digitally transmitted with digital, what we call digital signature, and also ensuring that there is an audit trail of how the movement went. And the prescription was given by the doctor.
Okay.
So he was not even a nurse. He was a 12th standard pass who was trained, who are tribals, who are trained, and they handled it. And this is medically accepted, legally accepted.
Yeah. And just a second, last year, the government has come up for telemedicine, particularly in certain classes of drugs, for the prescription to be done electronically, but through the doctor. And of course, in, kind of saying the prescription again for, continuity of care, that is also possible. So that guidelines has come last year, and that is available. The document can be shared with everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Considering the paucity of time, I'll take one more question. So this question is for Dr. Kedar. So this is like, do government hospitals or institutions like ESIC or AIMS take administration personnel into the job as permanent?
It's like what they were saying, that ICU can never be managed without nurses. The administration staff is part and parcel of the system, and they are trained to be part of the hospital system. There are administrative jobs right from lowest level up to the highest level. But only thing is, medical superintendent of a hospital is an administrator, but he's a doctor. So doctor, administrator, below him, most of the others, maybe deputy MS also if it's a big hospital. Yes, in government hospitals, below are administrative, some of them are part who can't run without that. They have to take care of administrative issues. They are there. They are taken on a permanent basis, and there's a structure, there's a growth, and they, in fact, some of them go start even before the hospital is even being completed. So they start handling stores, taking care of goods that are coming. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There's another question is like, do you think improvement in communication skills for nurses will improve the nursing care? Dr. Dilip, I would request you to please answer if.
Yeah, this is an absolutely vital skill to have. And internally, even at Cloud Physician, we believe that we all as healthcare providers are trained in bedside manner. But as time goes by, bedside manner will need to transition to website manner, where you should be able to push your ideas, push your faith, push your care plan to the patient through the screen, through the telemedicine platform, so that it touches someone's lives on the other side. Because India is a large country with 1.5 billion people. Just one-on-one care is possible, but if you want subspecialist care, expertise of highly trained nurse practitioners to push their impact, they will need to be experts in communication. And good medical care is simply not possible without communication. In fact, this is one of the things that is currently missing in not just the nursing curriculum, but also in our MBBS curriculum. We do not have a focused communication course in the MBBS curriculum. And some of the things that ail the system, such as doctor-patient relationship, faith in the system, lack of clarity about what sort of care is being given to a family member, is not a medical science problem. It's actually a communication problem. How do you break down a complex disease such as COVID and tell a family member what's going on is actually a communication problem. So, and both nurses, nurse practitioners and doctors owe it to themselves and to their patients, not just to be experts in medical care, but also be experts in communication, because otherwise it's a missing link.
Lightly speaking, on a lighter way, when I was deputy commissioner in Bangalore, see, a lot of people come to engineering and doctor courses in Bangalore because we have the highest number of, at one point in time, maybe even today, highest number of engineering and medical colleges. At the end of fourth year, people who are studying in doctor, they are fluently speaking in Kannada. Whereas engineers, at the end of fourth year, at the most he will say is Namaste. That is also not, I don't know which language he is speaking Namaste in, because some of them are inevitable communication skills that the doctors pick up. So obviously language is one. In fact, one of the things that I should have put it in my PPT is communication, because the language with which you speak to a specialist and language with which you speak to I'm saying even in Kannada, the language with which you speak to a patient and you speak to a specialist are different. And one more request, Piyush, lots of questions, if you can share it and then get some answers and pass it on to the registering people. Maybe we should try to answer as many as possible. And maybe Shashi, myself, Dilip, we can all answer, or Usha also. So we should not left any questions unanswered.
Yes, sir. So there are a couple of more questions which I will share with the panel members and would request you to answer accordingly. Then we can share with the participants. Yeah.
That would be so nice.
Yes, sir.
I'm happy that so many people are asking. Wonderful. Great.
Exactly, sir. Yeah. So with this, we come to the end of this session, sir. A very warm thanks to all the panel members. I thank you, Dr. Usha Manjunath, Dr. Shashi Bhaskara, Dr. Kedar, Dr. Dilip, and Dr. Dhruv for being here and sharing so much of information about the kind of skills which the new age nurses would require. The importance of technology, digitalization in nursing practices, and the kind of remote care intensive monitoring, the benefits it reaps, and the benefits which can be passed on to society by acquiring these skills is really phenomenal. I thank you all the participants also for listening to us cautiously. And you can please share your questions with us on the email. We will share the feedback link also and along with the email ID. So whatever questions you have, you can share. We will answer them in response with our panel members.
Yeah,
so,
some of them are interesting.
Yes,
Just now
sir.
I'm seeing from Nisha. Oh, it's wonderful. So probably we should answer. We need some time to look at it. But
Please, sir.
nursing has been so streamlined. When I was finance secretary, I remember the way we put a hierarchy, directorate of nursing, and entire nursing progression. See, progression official career wise, what they are talking is one issue, which at least government of Karnataka have handled it, and we have been able to do. I remember the first director to become was Tippeswamy, entire director of nursing in Karnataka. But more than that, we are talking now the other skills. See, we have to acquire as and day progresses. So that's the thing. So that is what today we are looking at it. We are not looking at the hierarchy, progression. Yes, that will be taken care even in private hospitals. I don't think there is not a hierarchy in the nursing system anywhere else. Everywhere it's there. Thank you. We should answer. So most of them we should answer. We have a duty to answer. Thank you, Piyush.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, once again.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a nice day. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you.
And keep learning.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.